Hi everyone, good evening. Okay, so welcome back to our watchers and listeners. So we're back with another episode of The Road to Forever by Squishies. So with me tonight, of course, syempre hindi makakompleto ang ating podcast if hindi rin kami kompleto. So, so we have Hannah.
Hi guys!
Hi Hannah.
Good evening!
We have Carrie.
Hi guys!
And of course, we have Anna Kim. Or Kim.
Hi, good evening!
Ayan. So for tonight, it's my task to be your host.
Ding, ding,
for
ding,
this
ding, ding!
episode.
Naobliga ka ba? Nautusan ka ba?
Parang,
Hindi naman. Hindi naman. Just so you know guys, kasi we are alternating on hosting each. So kung nakikinig kayo at nanonood, I think naman napansin nyo na yun. Pero gusto ko lang reiterate. Ayan. But anyway, I'm Zari. If you still don't know my name, how could you? But anyway,
I love that! Gusto ko yun.
Ilang Slumbook Diaries na, paulit-ulit. Hindi niyo pa rin alam.
Hindi pa rin kami kilala? Ano to?
naka-flash na. Saan nga ba fina-flash on? Basta on the lower part
There.
of our here. So kung hindi nyo pa rin alam yung mga names namin, oh my gosh. But yeah, anyway, let's go to our topic for tonight. So I hope everyone, you guys are enjoying yung mga nagiging past topics namin. We have uploaded 3 episodes already. Oh my God. Congrats to us. Okay. So for our last episode, if you remember, we have talked about relationship or about love, diba? That's why for this, for tonight's episode, we're going to talk again about love. But for this time, it's about loving yourself or self-love, diba? You guys are familiar naman, diba, with self-love?
Hindi,
Loving
ano ba yun?
yourself.
Nakakain ba yun?
Masarap ba yun?
Malalaman natin. We will know later on the run of our episode kung nakakain ba ang self-love. Yeah. So, okay. Nawala ako sa sinasabi ko kasi anak.
This is one of Zari's many charms.
So the topic for tonight again is self-love. Okay. So we've heard self-love a lot of times already, especially when nag-boom talaga, di ba, yung mga vloggers talking about self-love. Nag-boom siya nung lumabas yung topics about mental health. Okay? So, for many, meron silang iba't ibang definition probably of self-love. So, for tonight, I would like to hear for our listeners and our watchers, let them know ano ba yung self-love for each of us. Ano ba yung definition ng self-love for me, for Hannah, for Kari, and Kiki. So to begin, I'll ask first si Kim.
Bigla akong na-spotlight, di ba? Yan yung napapala ko
yes.
dahil nang aasar ako o kaya nang ka-cut down. Ayan.
Kasi siya yung may
Self-love.
magandang background.
O kaya dahil nagpakita ka tonight again.
Hindi pala. Si Kim pala yung may background. Bakit ba?
Ayan.
Anyway, go Kim.
Ayan. Self-love. Ano ba? For me, siguro, I would summarize self-love as acceptance. Kasi kung hindi mo tanggap yung sarili mo, paano mo mamahalin yung sarili mo, diba? Kasi parang, it's actually part of the process. Like, accepting the good parts and accepting the bad parts or the parts that needs improvement as well. And for me, that's how I would define or encapsulate self-love. Acceptance.
Okay. Acceptance and self-love. Okay.
Tama na po ba yun, ma'am? Ilan pong points yun?
100 points for you.
Wow! Wow!
10 points for Kim! Ano to? Hogwarts houses lang?
Gryffindor?
Gryffindor.
Pwede naman. Pero let's hear muna first from Hannah kung ano nga ba ang self-love for her.
Ako, self-love for me is, I would probably say it's like 3 points for me. Like, first is it's about valuing oneself. So, you put yourself not the least person, at least on your list. And then second is would be respecting your emotions, your feelings, your ideas, your opinions. And lastly would be setting boundaries. Yun yung for me na very important when it comes to self-love. Na kasi how would you know kung paano mo nga mamahalin ang sarili mo or paano ka rin mamahalin ng ibang tao kung hindi ka merong certain standard na ina-uphold on yourself. So that's how I see self-love naman. Other than yung acceptance of oneself. Yung na-mention nga ni Kim. Ikaw, be?
Si Carrie muna. Let the host be the last.
No. I want the host. The
I
host
also
is
want the
important.
host.
Host mo na dapat mauna.
Host na. Sige, I'll go first.
May isa-summarize daw kasi
Na peer pressure.
isa-summarize niya kasi lahat. Meron siyang
Oo
script.
nga, dapat pala
Sige,
siya yung
sige.
last.
Sorry.
Summarize niya nga pala. Ako
Okay,
pala
okay.
muna.
Carrie, how about you? What's self-love for you?
Thank you for that question. Self-love is loving yourself. And I thank you.
Ganda no, napaka-deep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Napaka-deep.
grabe,
Thank you,
world
Moses.
peace yun. That's world peace.
Tumagos sa puso.
Dahil dyan, 200 points for you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. But seriously, Carrie, yeah.
Self-love for me is being true to yourself. Maliban dun sa sabi ni Kim sa kaniha, na kasi ako, I believe it's also about acceptance eh. Kasi that's one thing na sobrang hirap for us to really accept who we are. No, kasi yung peer pressures din, yung pressures from the society, trying to impress the people around you. So, recently ko lang din siya parang na-embrace talaga yung who I am. Yun. So, one is yun, acceptance, being true to yourself. And another thing na I think this is the most important thing na hanggang ngayon, medyo hindi pa rin ako ganun ka galing when it comes to this thing, is forgiving yourself, for everything that you are. Kasi sinasabi kasi nila, lalo na sa mga relationships, it's hard to forgive someone. But for me, and I think for the four of us, considering that we're all overthinkers, it's more of forgiving oneself talaga. So, yung tatlong yan, being true, acceptance, and forgiving oneself. Back to you,
Thank
studio.
Yeah, back to me. I'm the studio.
Oo, ikaw yung lugar.
Ayan. For me naman, self-love is, aside from the acceptance, diba, setting boundaries, it's prioritizing yourself in a way that you're building your own identity. Your own identity, despite na yung na-mention niya ni Carrie na mga pressure on your external and around you, surrounding you, diba? There's a lot of pressure, but lagi nga, diba sinasabi to sa mga quotes, love yourself first so that you could give more to the others. So it's more of building your own, being the person of your own. Period.
Being the person of your own.
Yes,
Period.
being the person of your own.
Mm.
Okay. So, the mention kasi ni Hannah kanina, diba, that part of doing the self-love is having boundaries sa other people or dun sa mga values mo compared to the values of others, right? So, basically, there are people who see this, yung mga taong nagpa-prioritize of themselves na ay, kita ng iba, it's kind of selfish. Narinig niyo na ba siya before? Selfish naman, ganyan. Porket gusto mo lang magstay for the day, ayaw mo lumabas, tapos niyayahan nila, diba? Sabihin nila, ano ba yan? Friends mo ba talaga kami? Yung mga ganong pressure, di ba? So for you, do you think ba that self-love is synonymous to selfishness?
Thank you for that wonderful question.
Yes.
I thank you. Yun lang, gusto ko mag-thank you.
The reason kasi I remember this question, kasi diba, Hannah, you remember, we went to this talk on She Talks Asia. And this is one of the question to that. Parang, where is the boundary if you're doing self-love? Kasi others could see it as being selfish. Kasi, of course, you're prioritizing yourself, and then the others doesn't see that way. So, for you, do you think selfishness and self-love is
the same
synonymous? Yeah.
or synonymous? Ako personally, when you threw this question to us nga during the week, diba? I've been thinking about if it's true. I feel kasi it's a matter of perspective. Na I can see it as self-love, but other people will not see it as such. They would feel nga na it's selfish. So whatever act that I may do that may benefit me and me only will be seen as it's something na not serving other people. So it would be considered selfish. So yun yung stand ko. It's more on kung sino ang nakatingin, sino rin ang nakakakita. Pero I feel that for us to have a better understanding if it's selfish or self-love is to talk to the person and understand where they're coming from. Kasi we all have different stories. We all have different experiences. So, only then can we identify, at least for me, na okay, kaya niya ginagawa to kasi deserve nga niya. Kasi ito yung pinagdaanan niya. Diba? Parang tayo din, when we ask each other, why do we need some time off from each other? Kasi we also do that. We don't really regularly talk to one another or sometimes we don't really divulge information because we also respect nga na may period na, okay, ito yung me time niya.
Yeah.
And that's important. And we've talked about it also in our previous episode na yung me time, alone time, breather for yourself, that's highly important, especially if yun nga when the society, everybody else wants a piece of you, but you can no longer give another piece of yourself because you already gave it all away. So, yun yung aking, the way I look at selfishness and self. How about you guys?
How about you, Kim?
Agree. Majority dun sa point, mostly dun sa lahat ng points ni Hannah actually. Very, similar yung perspective ko. It's about perception. Kasi, tama naman talaga na pag ikaw, sanay yung mga tao na palagi ka nagbibigay, palagi nilang nakikita na gumagawa ka or nag-offer ka ng sarili mo para sa kanila. Once kasi na bigla mong in-stop yun dahil pinaprioritize mo na yung sarili mo, ang perception na nila ay nagdadamot na to. Kaya ang tingin agad nila, immediately, without, kumaga, full judgment, full offense, parang selfish na agad. Porket lang isang beses ka lang isang beses mo lang inuna yung sarili mo. So, and again, tama din naman yun na you have to communicate. Na siguro in a way, baka yung abrupt na yung bigla mong pag-pull tapos hindi naiintindihan ng iba, major factor kasi yun kung bakit sa tingin nila selfish yun. And I guess, to add on to that, depende rin yun sa motivation ng isang tao. Kasi kung ang intention naman talaga niya is, something selfish, kumbaga parang alam niya naman na yun eh. Kumbaga alam niya sa sarili niya na yung ginagawa niya is not necessarily self-love, pero kumbaga kino-quote-unquote na lang niya kasi yun yung trend. Kasi yun na yung, kumbaga yun yung justification dun sa behavior or dun sa decision or dun sa action niya. But it's not necessarily, inherently, kahit sa sarili niya alam niya na hindi to act of self-love. Pero yun. So it depends on the intent and the motivation behind the action of loving or self-love it.
Agree.
True.
That's so true.
True. Very, very true. How about you, Carrie?
Ako, actually, same din ako. Yun din actually yung sasabihin ko. It's a matter of perspective talaga eh. For Kasi ang lagi kasi nilang sinasabi is kapag it's a similar situation, dapat similar din yung magiging outcome or similar din yung magiging reaction ng person. But the thing is, every person is different. Kasi iba't iba rin naman yung pinagdadaanan ng tao. Iba't iba rin yung naman yung pinagdaanan din niya. And iba't iba rin naman yung mga dinadala niya sa buhay. So, kumbaga, saka iba rin yung strengths ng tao eh.
Mm-mm.
So, it's a matter of limitations din ng isang tao. So, I think when you do self-love, as long as your intent is to, yung para lang talaga sa sarili mo, in a sense na to be a better person or yung for your happiness because you know you deserve it without actually hurting someone intentionally along the way or stepping on someone just to get somewhere. I think that's self-love. Selfishness is kapag may intention ka na para lang sa akin to, bahala na kung anong mangyari sa iba, bahala na kung may masaktang ibang tao. That's selfishness. Pero ayun nga, it's also a matter of perspective. Kasi, given a situation, halimbawa outsider ka, baka kasi isipin mo rin na selfishness yun na nasasaktan niya yung taong to. Pero hindi mo naman talaga alam kung ano yung nangyayari within that certain situation. So, ayun. How about you, Zari?
Paikot na. Yeah, actually, sabi na nila lahat eh. Pero, no, I agree. I agree talaga dun sa sinabi ng aking 3 beautiful best friends. Rather than calling it as selfishness, I would like to term it on my own as positive selfishness. Because, selfishness mo siya para sa sarili mo eh. Like yung sinabi to quote Carrie, to make yourself better, diba? You're being selfish for yourself para maging someone ka who could be better not only for yourself but for others. Diba? Yung negative selfishness na kasi is yung tulad ng sinasabi niya na nakakasakit na ng iba. Like, sasabihin niya na gusto ko itong bagay na to, gusto kong gawin itong bagay nito because I think that could make me positive, but at the end result of it is hurting someone else, hurting others, stepping on others. So at that point, I think hindi sila synonymous, but there's a bit of selfishness, but it's more of a positive one because it's for yourself. So yun na rin yung, I guess it's the self-love that we're talking about.
So din I think on a societal level here lang in the Philippines is that we're very altruistic kasi we value people sacrificing themselves for other people.
As a culture.
Yeah, as a culture. And that's something celebrated, diba? It's something celebrated. So if someone else doesn't do that way or go against the norm, na parang, ay, bakit napaka-individualistic naman to? Bakit iniisip niya lang yung sarili niya? You should be like always for the greater good of other people. Diba? We always, sorry, Harry Potter. Harry Potter reference na siya. No? But it's usual kasi na we always have to give our 110% whatever we do. Any short of that, parang yung people's expectations of you also doesn't get met. So parang mahirap din for us to balance what we want to do for ourselves and how to please others. Yun yung parang nagkakaroon din tayo ng parang friction between the two. So I just have a follow-up question for everyone about this self-love. Kasi di ba kanina na-mention nga ni Zari na parang you have to love yourself first before you can share the love to others. So do you truly believe that na you really have na mahal mo yung sarili mo before you can actually share the love to other people? Kasi not everybody's valuing self-love, diba?
Yeah.
So, and yet we enter relationships where we're not exactly very accepting of ourselves, something na may lacking pa tayo. Or we preach to others things even if we are also lacking or at least not valuing or practicing the same advices that we do. So, would you say truly you really have to love yourself first before being able to give love to others, or at least express, show, or impart love?
Another
To an
very hard
extent.
question.
To an extent lang siguro. Tama din naman yun kasi like, ano ba yung standards or ano bang basis mo para masabi mo na completely mahal mo yung sarili mo? Pero, ayun nga, as you've mentioned, kung mag-enter din lang, may totoo naman yun, may mga taong nag-enter sa isang relationship na pakiramdam niya hindi pa siya buo. Pero, we have to keep in mind na kung ano man, again, I'm going back to motivation kasi like, you entered a relationship aware that you are not complete. Pero sana, ang motivation mo to enter the relationship is not to use the other person to make you feel whole. Hindi mo, kasi ako, I personally believe na hindi mo yun makikita sa ibang tao completely. I mean, they can compliment you, pero hindi siya magiging magandang klase ng relationship. Kasi parang humihigop ka lang ng energy or ng something from the other person. Na-absorb mo lang yung pangangailangan mo. Nakukuha mo yung needs mo from them, pero hindi mo na ibibigay yung needs naman nila. So parang hindi siya, in the long run, hindi siya magiging productive, hindi siya maganda. Kaya, for me, siguro, to an extent, at least have some self-love, to an extent na, okay, hindi pa completely, hindi pa 100%, pero at least you have the assurance that you can provide the semblance of, care and love that the other person would need from you. Kasi yun nga, iba rin naman yung pangangailangan niya sa pangangailangan mo. So, that's my take on it.
Yeah. Pero
Carrie.
maraming ganun yung parang, sorry, it's called like unhealthy codependence.
Yeah, codependency. Yeah.
Diba? Parang you rely on others to make, to define
you happy.
to make you happy, to find who you are right now. That's true. Carrie, how about?
Ako kasi, for me, I think love is a process kasi. It's not an overnight thing na kaya ko nang mahalin ng buong-buo yung sarili ko. Because, syempre, meron tayong natututunang bago sa sarili natin eh. But with that statement, it's more of being able to know how to really love without any conditions. Kasi, I think kasi yung sinasabi nilang kailangan matuto mo munang mahalin yung sarili mo before you can give yourself to others. It's because, yun nga, gaya ng sabi ni Kim, kapag naghahanap ka ng pagmamahal outside of you, it becomes toxic kasi. So it's more about knowing your limitations din. Na with loving someone, dapat hindi ka nag-expect anything in return. Yun yung mas inaano ko. Loving without any conditions. More than the statement na self-love muna bago you can Kasi I think, yun nga, gaya ng sabi ko, it's a process. Kasi hindi naman 100% na buong-buong mahal mo na yung sarili mo eh. Kasi yun nga, gaya nga ng sabi ko, meron ka pang nalalaman about yourself na minsan hindi mo rin talaga gusto. Na minsan kinakainisan mo, kinakamuhian mo, parang ganon. Or sige, kinakamuhian is such a strong word. But, something that you don't like about yourself talaga. Pero ayun, it's not something na you would expect others to write that for you or to fill in that missing piece of you. So, parang, ayun, yun yung take ko dun.
Yeah.
Or just to add, in a way din naman, to jump off from Karina's take on it. Na, totoo naman din yun, na parang may parts ka din ng sarili mo na hindi mo makikilala hanggat hindi ka rin nag-enter ng isang relationship.
Yeah, true.
Kasi hindi mo, kasi parang madaling i-perceive na siguro pag nagka-boyfriend ako or speaking from experience, like especially na ako yung natitirang single sa atin. Anyway, pero yun, I imagine myself in a relationship. Ang dali kasing sabihin na siguro pag nagka-boyfriend ako, ganito yung magiging reaction ko sa mga ganitong bagay. Pero kasi reality would probably present a very different very
Yeah,
different
agree.
picture.
Mm-mm.
And you will never know until you're actually in that moment.
Mm-mm.
Kaya yun, it's a constant, it's a continuous, it's a work in progress talaga din.
Mm-mm.
Yung
Agree.
self-love. And siguro, knowing that, or like that being our touch point, na siguro, we can probably agree na you don't have to completely love yourself to be able
Mm-mm.
to, at least relationship wise, to enter, to let someone in.
Mm-mm.
Yun.
True. Zari, ikaw?
Actually, yung sasagot ko, nabanggit na ni Kim.
Mm-mm.
Because it's
Sorry,
something
nagaw
that,
ko.
it's okay. Because I can attest to that somehow. Kasi diba, first relationship. So, yung quote nga na love yourself before giving love to others, diba?
Mm-mm.
It's true that it's to some extent, hindi siya ganun katotoo.
Mm-mm.
Kasi when I entered the relationship, I'm realizing or learning something more about myself, which is yung nabanggit nga nila Carrie and Kim,
Mm-mm.
na you're discovering kasi something new because you're sharing a love with someone
Mm-mm.
na could be your opposite, yung opposite mo, na nadidiscover mo that this is, kung siya yung opposite ko, meaning there's something that's lacking about myself. And because of that, nagkakaroon ako ng ganitong thinking na parang nakakalungkot na shocks would this, kung ito yung lacking sa akin, would this mean ba na I should depend a lot to this person? Which is, because siguro na din of sobrang haba nung panahon na na naging NBSB, di ba? We've learned how to be independent. So in a way, parang nagkaroon ako ng ganong thinking na I don't want to depend most of the time to this person. Kaya when I realized that, dun ko na-realize na, there are things that I have to improve pa on my own para in the long run, I can still have my own being in this relationship. Dun ko na lalaman na, kailangan ko pa rin i-nurture yung self-love ko para sa sarili ko. Pero in a way, it's not, yung sinabi ni Kim kanina, I forgot the term, it's not, hindi siya completion eh. Oh my God, ano ito yung term? Yes, it's complementing each other. So, yeah. Kaya yun, hindi siya ganun katotoo to an extent.
I agree with all of you, and I rest my case. Go back to Zari. Okay na yan.
Pwede na yan.
Okay na yan.
Hindi pwede. Hindi pwede, be. May 30 minutes pa tayo.
Grabe, tinoorasan ako. Pahabain pa daw yung section. Ganon. And ako,
Siyempre, of course, diba, we'd like to hear that naman. From our mother of wisdom.
Yeah.
Akala ko mother of dragons.
Pagdating sa relationships, kay Carrie kayo lumapit. Ako, I agree with everyone naman talaga. One, I know that getting to fall in love with yourself is a process. Kasi, as you grow older, nagmamature ka din eh, and you respond to things differently compared to when you were younger. And kailangan mo rin mahalin yung mga ugly parts mo as you grow older. Now, when it comes to, loving yourself first before loving other people, I would attest also, syempre, ang dami ko na ring frogs na pinagdaan.
Bago sa Prince Charming.
Frog.
Kawawa naman yung mga frogs.
Sorry. Hindi, kasi mga detours. Marami akong dinaan ng detours bago ako nakarating dun sa mas straighter path. So, but, syempre, kailangan mo ng pagdaanan kailangan mo na magkamali. Yun eh. Parang failures are important for you to learn lessons. And in this case, it's learning to accept and find, yun nga, as you've said, mga bagong traits na dun mo lang sa sitwasyon na nalalaman. Though also, I think yung sa mga listeners and watchers natin, what they have to take note of is we can see these things only because we have experienced it to some extent also. And we can say these things easily na, Huwag masyadong mahal yung sarili mo kasi okay lang yan. You'll still learn along the way. But then again, life will present experiences to you to challenge you to also make you grow. And it's up to you to grab those opportunities or experiences if you want to learn. Kasi if you refuse, then there's nothing we can do about
Walang
it.
growth.
And life has nothing, life will not be able to do anything. And you'll just be where you are. So, yun lang yung parang, for me is, hindi rin ako buo when I entered a relationship. But I also became codependent to an extent to some of the people I've met before. And hindi talaga siya healthy. And later on, you'd realize through hard lessons of life na, shucks, totoo nga, kailangan mong mahalin nga yung sarili mo. But when you say mahalin ng sarili mo, it doesn't mean putting you first, lalo na pag nasa relasyon kayo. Kasi pag nasa relasyon kayo, it's the two of you to make decisions, to, move forward, to grow. It doesn't mean you're much better than your partner.
Yeah. It's a give and take.
Yeah. I think yun yung, you find your identity, know your full identity in the relationship, and make sure that you don't lose that identity. But at the same time, hindi yun pagiging rigid na, ako, ganito na ako talagang iyak. Di ba kasi meron tayong kasabihan na mamahalin kita ng kung sino ka, ano ka, lahat ng kung ano-ano ka pa.
Yeah.
Pero kasi, hindi rin siya totoo. Kasi you need to learn to bend and to compromise. Kasi it will not work if you just insist on being who you are. Kasi yun nga, dun papasok yung selfishness na sinasabi ni Zari kanina, di ba? Hindi mo na naiisip na someone else is also getting hurt by your action. Because that's not a form of self-love. You're just being selfish. Yun. So going back to you, Zari.
Yes. Actually, I have a follow-up question. Kasi we're talking self-love in the context of being in a relationship. And being in being Filipinos, we have this culture of the sense ng family ties, diba? We are very close-knit with our families. And with that kind of thinking kasi, diba, some of their lives, or some people, yung buong buhay nila nagre-revolve lang sa family. So how do you show self-love for yourself in the context naman of your familiar background or familial background?
Ito ba yung parang sense of wala ka dapat privacy? Or
Pero paano ba natin siya? Yeah. Not really the privacy, but the pressure coming from your family na, diba,
provide.
Yeah, to provide.
To put all else and prioritize
Kailangan
the family.
first.
Dapat
diba?
yung
Mga ganon.
aspirations mo would come the least because the family has to survive.
Yeah.
Carrie?
Yeah!
Naisip ko pa nga yung question
Throw it.
Actually, pinaprocess ko pa yung question.
The family pressure. The family pressure. Where do you put the boundary? Where do you set the boundary?
We have to admit first na most of the population of the Philippines are lower class. And most people are actually striving to be a good provider and be able to earn well para they can support other people within their family. And it would be quite unfair also for me to say na, mag-practice kayo ng self-love kasi we also understand the familial obligation.
Yeah.
But I guess for me is that it's not selfish. Okay, let's move away from the word selfish. I think it's not too much to ask to have 15 minutes with yourself, to just breathe. Kasi having familial obligations and responsibilities can be very overwhelming, especially in the face of financial problem. And that's very hard to tackle and it's hard to move away from. And hindi mo rin kasi pwedeng sabihin na unahin ko muna yung mga pangarap ko, pero kung nagugutom na yung kapatid mo or hindi na siya nakakapag-aral or yung mommy at daddy mo na sa ospital and naghahanap ka ng way to pay the hospital bills, especially now during the pandemic when there's unemployment rate is high. People's bills of COVID is millions and counting. So I think it's more on finding ways of giving yourself a tiny break, not like completely, putting yourself first, ganyan, ganyan. But it's more of finding little pocket of breathing space. Kasi mahirap siya. I have thought about it. I have also been undergoing the same scenario. So for me, it's more on, one, forgive yourself. You cannot be everything that other people you would want you to. Mahirap yun. Nasagutin mo lahat. Kahit sabi mo ikaw na lang talaga yung breadwinner ng pamilya. Forgive yourself. You're not superhero. You're not a superhero. Don't have the hero complex. You cannot be the superhero for your family. Second is admit to yourself that you need help.
Mm.
Sometimes because we do want to be everything, we missed out on the many people around us na who could help us to provide, to be there, and to extend ourselves. Third would be give yourself a time to breathe. Maglakad. Well, di ko makakalakad sa labas, syempre, di ba? Kasi COVID na, pandemic period. But, what are the things that makes you happy? Kumain ka ng chocolate, kumain ka ng ice cream. Reward yourself na kahit simpleng pagbili lang sa Shopee ng 50 pesos, kahit 45 in delivery. Di ba? If that will make you happy, then go ahead. It's just, parang, iba kasi ang magiging isipan, like ako ba't ako bibili nito? I have something more na mas importante, mas nangangailangan ng pera. Bakit ko siya gagawin? But then again, remember, don't make choices that would just hurt you. Dapat kasi pag nagbigay ka, bukal sa loob mo.
Mm-mm.
So, mas madali for you to do things, pero kasi kung napipilitan ka lang, then it will just make the whole process
even more painstaking.
Yeah, it will make your lives miserable.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to say, then you might not be the person that should be supporting your family if you just see them as a burden. Because they're not supposed to be a burden. It's a noble job. Kasi ikaw na yung turn mo na siya. Pero yun nga, matter of perspective din yun. Kasi hindi naman natin pwedeng pilitin lahat ng tao na tignan ang pagpo-provide. Kasi may mga taon talagang pagod na. Matagal na sila nagpo-provide. Sawang-sawa na sila. So, up to them naman. Kayo, guys.
Carrie?
To be honest, ngayon ko lang na-gets yung question. Nung sinagot niya na, kasi iniisip ko, from relationship to the family, parang nagpa-process ako. To be honest, nagpa-process ako kanina, kaya medyo hindi ko ata ito masasagot. Hindi ko gets yung question. Sorry. Pero ayun, I think tama naman yung sabi ni Hannah eh. It's also knowing it's knowing your limitations and the fact that you can't exactly control everything. You have to accept na merong mga bagay na hindi mo talaga kontrolado. And with that, na hindi mo siya makokontrol, you just have to take into consideration na you find ways for your family na gagawin mo ng paraan, ganon, pero not at the expense of sobra-sobra na to the point na yun nga, yung sabi ni Hannah na dapat bukal sa loob mo to the point na ubus ka na. Kasi pag nag-reach kasi sa point na yun, dun na lumalabas yung mga sumbatan
Resentment.
Which is, yes, yung resentment not only to the people around you, but sa sarili mo rin, which
and
is not situation. A good thing. Yes. Kasi you have to, yes, we're not all in the same boat. Iba-iba talaga yung mga pinagdadaanan. But we also have to think na you're doing a good job kung ang inaano mo talaga is doing it for love, for your family. But also, gaya rin ng sabi ni Hannah na it's not too much din naman if you also take into consideration yung sarili mo din. Kasi I think sa lahat naman ng na nakaka-guilty kapag when you try to reward yourself. Kasi parang iniisip mo, shit, hindi ko deserve to or itong reward na to parang pwede ko na lang i-save to kasi mas kailangan to for ganyan. But the thing is, you should think of the now then. Yes, you prioritize the needs, but you also have to think of kahit the small things lang. Kasi hindi naman kailangan na yung gagawin mo para sa sarili mo is grand eh. It's the small things that would make you happy. Kasi syempre kailangan when you help someone, masaya ka din eh. Kasi kapag sobrang, alam mo yun, parang if you do it out of obligation, parang ang bigat sa pakiramdam. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good thing. Kasi going back to that na magiging resentment kasi siya along the way. So, yun yung for me naman. How about you, Kim?
I guess siguro to summarize your points. I mean, I think we're talking about this in general na. Like, ako personally, I mean, with my family situation, I'm fortunate enough na hindi ako na-pressure ng family ko to make a decision that would impact my life and as well as theirs. Parang, in a way, I consulted them, yes. I asked for their opinion. Especially nung first time kong nag-resign sa trabaho. Yun yung example ko. Yun yung parang springboard ko sa sagot ko. Na nung sinabi ko na napagod ako, na ayoko muna magtrabaho, gusto ko muna mag-focus sa grad school kasi pakiramdam ko, hindi ko kakayanin pagsabay sila. Naintindihan naman ako ng magulang ko. They stepped up din naman na kahit andun ako sa point na nakakatulong ako for them, nakakatulong ako sa bayarin, sa mga bills, ayan, sa household, naging ako yung second breadwinner. Parang, syempre mawawala yun nung nag-resign ako, wala akong stable income. So, kumbaga, kahit nangyari yun, hindi ako napabayaan or hindi ako naging burden or hindi pinaramdam sa akin na naging pabigat ako. Instead, we took it in stride. So, yun, that's my springboard din. Pero in general, like, totoo din naman yun na hindi natin pwedeng lang kasing sabihin na, yeah, go, sige, self-love. Kasi tama yun na kung ang sitwasyon mo, ikaw lang talaga yung nagpo-provide, anong choice ang meron ka? Di ba nga sabi nila, ang choice ay para lang sa mga mayayaman. May sinasabi silang gano'n na, ang dali kasing magsabi na, pwede mong iwan yung trabaho mo, mag-business ka na lang kasi, ano naman yun, basta yun yung passion mo kasi yun yung gusto mo. Pero hindi mo nakikita na yung background nila. Hindi niya afford na mag-business kasi pag nag-fail yun, saan sila pupulutin, di ba? So yun. I guess it's as a society kasi, it has something to do, it boils down to the romanticization of sacrifice. Yung mga nakikita kasi natin sa teleserye na usually ang mga subject or ang mga characters ay nasabihin natin na nasa mga squatter area sila or katulad ni Christine Hermosa sa Prinsesa ng Banyera na okay, pinapakita na hindi mo na matandaan yun, natanda ko na, no? Ayun. So, parang pinapakita kasi
Ganyan siya kaagad ng tanda niyo na.
pinapakita kasi doon na kahit mahirap ka, basta masaya yung pamilya nyo, kaya niyong makaalpas, kumbaga. Pero kasi, at the end of the day, drama pa rin yun eh. Hindi rin siya actually sumasalamin sa sitwasyon ng mga tao. Oo, I mean, magandang isipin na may mga ganong pamilya. Yes, magandang isipin na may mga ganong pamilya. And I believe naman na may mga ganong klaseng pamilya din naman. Kasi hindi rin naman makakagawa ng ganong storya, hindi makakagawa ng ganong drama kung hindi rin siya based sa reality or sa realidad eh. Pero, what it fails to consider kasi is hindi lahat ng tao, ganun yung experience. Kaya it boils down, tama din yung sinabi ni Hannah kanina pa, na kaya nga, as a culture, as a society, yung value kasi natin pagdating sa sacrifice for the family, napakataas. Nilalagay agad sa pedestal na pag gumawa ka na ng para sa sarili mo, ano na, kumbaga parang sobra na, parang hindi ka na makapamilya, hindi ka na makaano. So, siguro ang kailangan ma-realize ng mga tao is until when, yun nga, yung with Carrie, yung limitations mo na mag-set ka ng boundaries na ito, gagawin ko para sa pamilya ko, pero up until here, pag umabot na sa ganitong point, ako naman. Kasi, tama yun, pag ubus ka na, ano pang ibibigay mo? Pag ikaw na yung nagkasakit, sino na magtatrabaho para sa inyo? Pag ikaw yung nawala, paano na sila? Parang, yun nga, di ba sabi nila yun? Ano yung quote na yun about sa fish?
You teach the fisherman to fish.
Ayan, you give him a fish and you feed him for a day, pero you teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. Siguro, I guess it has to do with the family interplay. Depende, kanya-kanyang pamilya na yon, labas na tayo doon. Pero kumbaga parang siguro in each family, I guess it's hopeful. I mean, hopefully speaking, na at some point, kailangan din nila namang matuto na tumayo sa sarili nilang mga paa. You can only do so much for your family. And kung hanggang doon na lang yung kaya mo, walang masama doon. Kasi kung alam mo sa sarili mo na binigay mo na lahat, you gave your all, you did the best that you can, that's enough. Kasi you can never solve everyone's problems.
Yeah, true. If I may share also, kasi I think this situation kasi applies to an extent to me. Kasi my parents are not working, and then my siblings are the ones who provided for me and my sister. So, for the longest time, my brother kasi, yung two brothers ko nag-OFW sila. So, parang diba, yung parents yun, they work hard for you, and then your siblings now's turn will be to work hard also and provide for the family. So, parang naging ganun din yung setup namin in reality. kami yung example nung familial obligation na yan. So, parang to a certain extent, my brothers also, syempre, they're already in their 40s, they have their own families, yet they're still supporting our family. Syempre, di ba dapat, ideally, you would now stop supporting your former immediate family and just supporting your own family. But in our case, kasi they still continue the support despite of that.
Yeah.
So, and what happened was, in my case, tama rin si Kim yun eh. Una, yung choice kasi it's a privilege. Not everybody can make the choice. And in my case, ang naging choice ko is I also left my job and put up a business. So ako yung example ni Kim. Hindi, pero ako, coincidentally, tumugma siya sa life na meron ako. So, when I left my job, ito po yun sa mga taong hindi naman po nanggaling sa well-off na family or hindi naman talaga kayo rich of riches talaga. Which is in my case is that I saved a lot. So, parang before I left the company, may savings ako, which helped me sustain. Ngayon kasi sabihin mo, mahirap ako or walang-wala talaga kami. Yung kahit isang tuka yung sitwasyon namin. So, hindi ako makakapagtabi. Pero one way or another, when you strive and you really put, lahat talaga blood and tears para makapagtabi ka ng kahit isang kusing lang sa matagal na panahon, then you can survive for yourself. And at the same time, I'm privileged nga na my siblings have invested on me. So, yun yung you teach the fisherman to fish. So, my siblings invested on me, on my education, on my equipment or whatever, for me to enable me to survive putting up a business. So, if you're in that kind of situation as well, then that would help you move your life forward. But then if you are just looking at it, kasi naalala nyo kay Ma'am Sis before, we have this, poor me theory, something like that, parang, kawa naman ako na lang lagi.
Na-absorb mo lahat ng negativity.
lahat ng
Yeah.
negativity na parang,
Helplessness.
yes, parang ikaw yung victim
Yes.
of the situation. If you put yourself down like that, no one can pick you up other than yourself. So, madali kasi yun madaling i-victimize yung sarili mo. Kasi 'di ba sa mga drama nga, 'di ba, kapag sila yung damsel
Kaya
in
sila yung
distress.
mga bida
Yes, 'di ba?
Kaya
Parang
palaging sila yung
magpabugbog
ate.
ka muna, ganyan, kawawang-kawawa ka muna para sabihin mo, okay lang yan, kawawa ako ngayon kasi I'll be successful one day. But don't wait for the opportunity to knock at you. Kasi you have to make the opportunities for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, kasi hindi po parang television drama or movie or some sort of romantic novel ang buhay. Because this is all reliant on the choices you make. So it's not a privilege, actually a difficult, tough weighing of things, of where you're supposed to be heading with your life. Yun. Ikaw, Zari, how about you? When it comes to familial
Nasabi niyo na joke lang. But it's true naman, di ba, that some people are lucky enough to be born sa kind of family na hindi nila kailangang mag-provide. They don't have to be the breadwinner of the family. But of course, with the type of society that we have, hindi natin may iwasan makita talaga. Though, it's all around us. Hindi lang sa TV, but makikita mo siya even in the social media that may mga tao na kailangan magpursige para makapag-provide for their own family. And yeah, syempre itong mga tao to, there could be that feeling na ubos na sila. Probably all their lifetime, their whole life revolves around na talaga, di ba? With their family. So, I would just like to pick up na lang yung mga tips na nabigay, na nabanggit ninyong tatlo. It's, tao ka lang. You're not a robot. You cannot do anything. So, hindi ka pwedeng 24/7 na nagtatrabaho, kumahayod. It's somehow for the situation, it seems understandable, but at the end of the day, again, you're just a human being. And kapag nagkasakit ka nga, sabi nga ni Kim, pag nagkasakit ka, pag may nangyari sa'yo, what would happen dun sa family na possibly ma-left behind mo, diba? So, as for the limitations, syempre, dadating na yung punto na yun, you will think na kakayanin ko pa ba? Ipupush ko pa ba ito? Kasi ubos na ako. So, tama naman yung sabi nila Harry, nila Hannah, na take a break for yourself, even just for siguro a few hours for your own. And when the time comes talaga na you think na ubos ka na, hindi mo nakakayanin. I would like to borrow yung tip ni Hannah Hanina, which is communication. You have to communicate with your family. And I know that's something na very hard. Kasi even me, sometimes it's hard for me to communicate with my family. But it's something that there will be a time that you really need to do it, to communicate, to let them know na this is it. This is just for me. Andito na lang yung capacity ko, yung limitation. I could probably do something pa, a little bit, but I need help. Yan nga, sabi ni Hannah Hanina, diba? You need to know when you need to ask for a help. Kasi again, you're not a robot. Yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, ano nga yung quote yun? Yung no man is an island, diba? So, you have to know to ask for help. But in the case na they see that your family see it na, they see it as something being selfish of you na, kasi syempre, diba, all your life, ikaw na yung nagpo-provide, but then, oh my God, bigla kang titigil. You're breaking down. Syempre, for them, they will be, at first, siguro, this is just me, possibly parang theorizing or just viewing it somehow. Na, when that time comes, of course, even them will find it difficult siguro to accept. Kaya yung first reaction nila will be siguro to think it as selfishness. Kaya that's why I believe you have to communicate with them. And it's not an overnight in the process that they will accept right away. You have to let them know. You have to, kung gusto na nila ng mga resibo, you have to show them that this is a family, di ba? You're not just that person in this family. So someone else from the family could help you somehow. So yeah, that's
Pero ano
my
lang
point.
To caveat, kasi hindi lahat ng pamilya perfect din eh.
True.
Kasi what will you do if the family members are the ones that are toxic? Diba?
It
Na
all
parang,
boils down to support.
yes, kasi may mga, I mean, as much as sad as it is to admit, may ibang pamilya talaga na instead na sila yung primary support group mo, sila pa yung unfortunately, sila yung source
Humihila.
sila yung source ng anxiety mo, sila yung source ng negativity sa buhay mo. Siguro, ayan, again, it depends on your individual situation. And kung sa tingin mo talaga, ako for me, I personally believe na if the person or the people around you are not contributing to your growth, not good for you regardless kung pamilya mo sila, it's not selfish, it's not too much to ask for you to step back and leave them. Ako yun yung stand ko. Na andali kasing mag-guilt trip. Ayun, yun yung andaling mag-guilt trip, lalo na yung society na pamilya mo yan, ba't may iiwan? Bakit kung hindi dahil sa kanila, wala ka dito. Pero ang comeback mo naman doon, di mo naman choice na ipanganak. Sila naman yung pumili na ilagay ka dito sa mundong to. Pero kung hindi ka rin naman nila inalagaan, diba? So, ganon, yeah. Yun lang yung
It becomes
caveat
an obligation eh.
Oo, yun yung caveat doon.
Ang dami ko lang naisip na gustong sabihin ng sinabi ni Kim yun, pero hindi ko nasasabihin.
So, let's leave it at that, no? Siguro, let's leave it at that.
Totoo yan. Totoo naman.
Siguro, just rin, parang a food for thought sa ating mga listeners and viewers na andali kasing sabihin na ganito yung family natin. Kasi ganito yung experiences natin. We're fortunate enough to have, supportive family, to be in a family na hindi perfect, pero at least hindi na naman toxic. Pero not everyone has that privilege. Not everyone is experiencing family life like that.
Very, very agree.
Very, very agree.
Very, very
when
agree.
it comes to cutting off families, it's very hard. It's not an easy. Lalo na kapag blood-related family. So, I think sa mga listeners and watchers namin on this podcast is that you make that choice with a sound mind, with a tough heart. Kasi hindi siya madaling desisyon. Ako nga, I left very close people in my life few years ago, and it wasn't an easy decision. And I've had a lot of backlash because of it. But I decided for myself, I wanted to grow and I wanted to be a better person. And I truly believe at that time, hindi sila yung mga taong I want to surround myself with. So, it's, mga taong more than 10 years ko na silang kasama sa buhay ko. And then I just left them out of blue. So, imagine if someone you're with is since birth pa, kayo na magkakasama. It's just take caution and make sure na when you make that decision, yes, you will have regrets, but you truly believe that you can only move forward with your life if you so decide to go through with that decision. Kasi lahat naman ng decision natin may consequences. You just have to be prepared to live with it. Yun. Zari.
Thank you so much for those beautiful words.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure naman a lot of our watchers and listeners could relate, and I hope meron silang nakuha na tips from those from those stories that we've shared or wisdoms that we have shared with them. So just to before we wrap this up, this episode of about self-love, of course, I would like to lastly ask Sana from you guys, what are some tips or practices that you do para that practices self-love how do you practice self-love?
Kumain
Read
ng marami.
fanfiction!
Eat your feelings.
Uminom ng milk tea!
Kasi diba, sabi nyo nga kanina, it doesn't have to be something grand. Diba? So, yeah.
Nag-shopping galore pala eh. Sa mga branded section pa.
Oo, yung pupunta sa Greenbelt, papasok sa, ano nga yung pinasukan natin?
Hermes.
Basta, oo.
Pasok tayong Hermes.
Alam naman natin wala tayong bibilhin doon, pero masaya lang mag-window shopping. Maramdaman mo na
Akala
nakapasok
mo
ka sa
kaya
store
mo
na yun.
ma-afford, pero hindi talaga.
Maramdaman mo sa sarili mo na mahirap ka talaga, hindi mo siya kaya.
Yun pala yung ginawa natin. No? Pinaramdam lang natin.
Nakakabusog na.
Self-love na yun.
Masok tayo ng Tory Burke nun eh. No? Tsaka
yun.
Tory Burke. Grabe din dun eh. Sorry, mabaliw kami, no? Tapos sa Greenbelt 5, sabi ko, hinila ko si Kim, pasok tayo sa Hermes, kahit wala tayo bibilin. Kunyari, magtatanong-tanong na, di ba, walang mga presyo yung mga bag doon kasi nga sobrang mahal. So, magtatanong ka, magkano to? Wala nga presyo, di ba? So, di namin afford.
Ay, ang ganda naman yan. Siguro maganda din presyo niyan.
Ayun na.
Mapapamura ka sa mahal. Yun.
Ay nako, mga trip-trip natin.
Yun yung mall na ano eh. Yung
pero kung gusto niyo po kaming i-sponsor, open naman kami doon. Nag-name drop na kami.
We would like to.
Yun yung mall na ano eh. Parang ibabalik ka sa realidad. Diba?
Dukha ka lang. Ganun.
Hanggang tingin ka lang. Love from afar. Wow. But kidding aside,
self-love.
What are the things that practices siguro or advices or the things that makes you happy?
Mga pwedeng i-practice ng mga listeners and watchers natin.
Yeah. Manood ng BL.
Matulog.
Ultimate.
Matulog. Kumain.
Matulog, yes.
Who goes first? Hana. Ikaw na yung
Kasi nag-isip lang ako out loud, but I'm not really having like any thoughts. For me is, una siguro, when it comes to self-love, is that you have to find your own space. Kasi what we may say here may apply to us, but it may not absolutely apply to you. So it's a trial and error. Kasi iba yung, una kasi you have to fit self-love practices to your lifestyle. And I can only share the lifestyle of an entrepreneur. Kasi yun yung current lifestyle that I'm living right now. And being an entrepreneur, kasi I cannot turn my entrepreneur brain off anytime because I'm gonna lose money if I do that. And I cannot afford to do that. And so, if you're owning a business like me, or you came from a corporate world also, just like me, is that, una, if you come from a very rigorous work schedule like I had, na no day offs, no holidays, etc., it's quite hard to find self-love moments. But crying in the bathroom for 15 minutes works for me at that time, diba? To calm myself down. Minsan mainit na yung ulo ko sa meeting. Kunyari 1 hour na kami nag-meeting and then I knew na, minsan kasi may mga meetings na hinuhold pero wala namang point yung meeting na pwede naman sa email na lang.
Email.
Oo. Na parang, gosh. Or minsan, yung meeting, nagbe-bring up ng mga ibang issues na hindi related sa topic ng meeting. So, humahaba yung meeting para sa isang topic na wala namang kinalaman dun sa meeting.
Okay na, be. Wala ka na dun sa mundong yun.
Hindi, I'm just saying. Kasi may mga ganun pa rin tao. May mga ganun pa rin tao na, hello guys, practice, meeting rules. Keep it 30 minutes. And have an agenda. Don't be so,
Less foods.
Yeah, don't take other people's time. That's respect. Ganun. It's like, just take like, in my case, of course, I eat my feelings. So good food is always a good solution. And then 15-minute break. And just ako kasi, yoga and meditation really helped me. Kasi I have stress hives when I think so much. yun yung mga possible practices na you can do if you have time. Meron akong isa, pag nagkakaroon siya ng anxiety attacks, and ako din, nung nagkakaroon ako ng anxiety, alam to ni Kim, tinawagan ko pa siya from Myanmar noon eh. Sabi ko, shit, nagpapanik ako sa loob ng taxi. Kasi na-overwhelm ako, syempre, culture shock and everything, homesickness, ganyan. Parang, you have to distract yourself para you can breathe easy and remove yourself from the situation. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you feel na lethargic ka or wala ka ng oras kasi your every waking time, ang iniisip mo na lang ay kumita at maghanap ng pera at kliyente, my self-love would be exercise. Mahirap mag-carve ng time. Actually, for some people nga privilege ng pag-exercise kasi hindi naman lahat ng tao may energy to do that,
Yeah.
especially if you have a jam-packed day. But for me, I just keep it to point kasi I can only afford 15 minutes a day just for that. That's it. I'll do 15 minutes. If that's the only thing I can commit, then 15 minutes it is. And actually, another form of self-love is spending time with your loved ones. So, spending time with my friends, I catch up with them. I spend time with my boyfriend, spend time with my family. Kasi yun are already part of my alone time. And alone time for me is already a definition of self-love process. So, that's totally up to you how you define it. But that's how I and how you may take inspiration from what I'm doing. How about you, Carrie, Kim, Zai?
Kim muna.
Ako, any activity na hindi ko kailangang mag-isip.
True, oo.
Basically, like, syempre, I mean, ako naman, as a teacher, ang role ko kasi, I transform, basically, as a teacher. Kasi syempre, mga bata, yung mga kaano mo, you have to present the best self that you can for them. Pero, in a way, it's a mask at nakakapagod siyang i-maintain sa araw-araw, lalo na kung hindi ka nagpapahinga at lalo na kung yun din lang yung iniisip mo. Kaya, any activity na time sink activity na yung mauubos na lang yung oras mo, na wala kang ginagawa pero wala kang iniisip na iba, para sa akin, self-love na yun. Low maintenance lang naman. Kaya, ayun, tulad na, in a way, it's a form of escapism. I read stories. I read fan fiction. I mean, I read other people, fictional characters live their lives in their fictional world. And happy na ako dun. Kasi for a moment, hindi ko iniisip yung
Yeah.
sitwasyon ko. Sila lang yung iniisip ko or sila yung nababasa ko. And as long as I have that moment for myself, okay na. I mean, ayun. Basta any activity that would allow me not to think.
Oh, when it comes to sense of escape, it's not a sense of escape to give yourself a breather, but not to stop yourself from
reality.
facing reality. Kasi if you have problems, you have to face it head on, di ba?
Yun,
So,
tama naman
yeah,
din yun. That's a caveat.
Yeah. Baka naman kasi escape lang kayo ay assign
Hindi
ba
rin naman healthy yun.
natin dito?
Hindi rin naman healthy yun.
Baka masobrahan po kayo sa pag-escape, yung ego nyo po ay hindi nakayanin ng ang daming escape nyo.
Sobrang immerse na kayo dun sa fictional world nyo na hindi nyo na nire-recognize
It's
yung
nice,
reality.
but it's not reality.
Yes. Yun,
Hooray!
Ako, matulog. Hindi, joke lang.
Totoo.
Hindi, nahihirapan nga ako matulog eh.
Kaya nga gusto mo matulog eh.
Yeah. Ako, more on spending time with loved ones talaga. Kasi when you're in the, sa medical field din, yun yung one thing na mahirap talaga to have, yung spending time with the people that you love. Kasi it's a different environment eh. You know, I'm fortunate enough na ramdam ko kasi yung love kapag kasama ko talaga yung mga taong mahal ko. You know, my family, my friends, my boyfriend. So, yun, isa yun. And then, yung recent ko na stinart ko siya last year was yung working out. Kasi, yes, there are times na pagod ka, so iisipin mo ilalabas mo ba yung effort mo for that na pwede mo na lang i-rest. But the thing is, for me kasi working out gives me a sense of comfort in a way. Kasi kahit papano, andun yung sinasabi nilang happy pill mo eh.
Yeah.
Tumataas kasi yung hormones mo, yung happy hormones mo. So, yun, working out. And taking breathing exercises. Kapag when you have a busy day, meron lang times na kapag sobrang stressed ka na, punta ka na lang sa CR ka na. Hinga-hinga ka lang. Kunwari, umiihi ka lang, pero ilalabas mo na talaga yung frustrations.
Iba na pala pinagpipray mo doon.
Ilalabas mo na frustrations mo, ganun. And, ayun, I took into consideration kung self-love yung iisipin, it's yung mental health din. Kasi I think yun yung kadalasan nakakalimutan ng mga tao. Na kasi since it's a stigma na kapag pinag-uusapan yung mental health is baliw ka na or may something wrong with you, which is not the case. So, yun, being able to accept na hindi naman lahat ng bagay kontrolado ko and it's okay. So yun yung akin. Spending time with family, workout, exercise, yoga din. I do yoga kasi it keeps my mind at ease, lalo na nung time na nagpa-panic attacks ako. It really helps. Kasi yung breathing exercises nun iba eh. So, yun. True. And yun, last one pala, I also do anything arts kapag may time talaga. Anything artsy, doing, writing poems, ganon. Kasi it's being able to express myself in it. Kasi I'm able to express myself more when I write. So, yun. How about you, Zach?
Okay. Last but not least, me. For my tips, it will be coming from the context of the current situation. I'm working from home and then I'm ECU. Yung matagal na nandito sa bahay. And for my self-love practices, actually, almost same kami ni Kim eh. Kasi with work, di ba, ang dami ko ding syempre iniisip. So, my self-love is reading. Hindi ko na sabihin kung yung binabasa ko.
Huwag ka nang mag-deny. Pareho na nga tayo eh.
Nasabi na ni Kim eh.
Nasabi ba? Hindi ako nakikinig.
Nagpe-pretend pa siya.
Kaya nga eh.
Kunwari daw medyo may mystery.
Innocente, ganun. Pero di talaga.
Uy, grabe.
Totoo naman.
Totoo.
Tumigil ka na.
Pareho po kami ni Zari. Huwag po kayong maniwala sa
True.
kanya. Ayun, basta reading more into mga visual readings. Hindi siya comics, but yung mga manhwa. Yun. Because I really like seeing visual. Reading and then K-pop. I'm a K-popper. So, I find small happiness. Pag nakikita ko yung mga bias ko, hindi ko nasabi ko sino. And
tago po natin sila sa pangalang Treasure. Una po Big Bang. Bago niya pong babies ngayon, Treasure.
Malalaman niyo po yan kapag nakasama niyo siya. Yun po lagi niyang alarm.
True. Nagigising pa siya ng ibang tao.
I know, ikaw yung unang magigising.
Kakainis. Tinabi na natin lahat yung telepono sa kanya. Wala pa din. Tapos 7 ba o 5 yung alarm niya?
Ang taas-taas pa ng volume.
Totoo. Lahat gising na yung lahat ng tao. Siya pa rin ang hindi gising.
Nagigising ako lagi. Katabi kita eh.
Nagigising na ako agad ngayon.
Kaya nga pa nag-a-assign tayo kung sino magkakasama sa kama eh. Sino yung hindi tatabi kay Zari?
Walang tatabi kay Zari.
Uy, malayo na cellphone ko ngayon.
Meron pang ibang rason maliban sa cellphone mo.
Uy, baka kung anong isipin ng mga nakikinig, pati
Literal po
nanonood.
niyang
bigla yung-
ginagawang body pillow po, yung mga katabi niya.
True. Tapos ginaganon pa niya yung mukha niya.
Hindi, sa kayo, halimbawa, ganyan kalaki yung kama. So, tig-isa kayo. Malalaman mo nandito na siya sa side mo. So, parang, wala ka ng choice.
1/4 na lang po ng kama yung mapupunta dun sa ano.
Totoo
Noel,
po.
pwede i-cut naman to. Nawala yung nawala yung effort ko kaninang itago.
Pinapakilala ka lang namin. Yung totoong ikaw.
Zari, acceptance of yourself, di ba?
I accept naman. Hindi na ako handang ibunyag sa lahat.
Mas marami pa po kayong malalaman tungkol kay Zari as the time goes by.
Dahil patuloy po namin siyang ilalaglag.
Pero kung kasama niyo po siya sa kwarto, please do everything that you can. Maglagay po kayo ng division between
Keep your
you and Zari.
Hala kayo. Ay, wala na akong kayo mukhang iyaharap. Ako na yung next na Kim. Wala na akong video.
Dahil lang dito.
Dahil nandito.
Nagawa ka ng
Anyway.
segment video about this yung just revealing Zari's secret.
Bakit ako lang?
Oo.
Dapat isa-isa tayo.
Mas
Actually,
interesting pag ikaw lang.
pero gusto ko pala malaman kung alam na rin nung boyfriend mo to.
Dan.
Hindi ko sure. We're going back sa original topic
K-pop?
natin. Kasi nagkaroon tayo ng
K-pop.
subtopic. Ayan, ano na yung sinabi ko. First is reading, and then K-pop, yung aking mga babies. And recently, I started, ang tawag dito, yung mag-yoga din. Because, just to share, I had some small breakdowns nitong pandemic because of the situation na hindi nakakalabas. So, to show some form of self-love for myself, para ma-improve ko naman yung, ang tawag dito, yung mood ko, is, nag-start na din ako mag-yoga. Tapos, ano pa ba? Meron akong inisip kanina na wala na dahil sa dami niyo nang sinabi.
Yung train of
nasisi
thought po ni Zari,
Yeah,
mabilis pong makarating sa kanya-kanyang estasyon.
True.
Yun
Very
nga lang,
obvious naman.
hindi mo sure kung saan stasyon siya nakarating.
Ayun. Another one, because of the situation kasi din, di ba? Parang naging stagnant na ako in the position. So, wala na masyadong learnings because wala naman kami masyado pang ginagawa din with work eh. So, I started a certification, program ba siya? Yeah, certification program para naman I could feel na I'm possibly growing. Kasi that's one form din naman of self-love is, for me in my situation, is that yung nararamdaman mo, nag-grow ka pa din in the situation that we have right now. Ayan.
That's true.
So, that's all from me. So, may additional message ba kayo or pa-PS sa ating mga readers?
Meron ako
readers
for,
na
happy.
readers talaga. Babasahin ba nila lahat ng sinabi natin?
Listeners and watchers.
May subtitle pala to. Parang ang effort naman ni Noel para gawin lahat yun.
Noel, joke lang yun, Noel.
Yung, I think, kasi I've read this in an article in passing that people are having a hard time to find alone time within the quarantine. Kasi you're stuck at home, tapos kung hindi naman kayo lahat may kanya-kanyang kwarto in your own space, then it will be very difficult for you to have an alone time or a me time. Kasi nga, you're always sharing space. Parang meron nga akong isa, parang may mommy na. Siyempre, gusto niya naman medyo malayo sa mga anak niya, di ba? Parang nagkaroon naman siya ng breathing space for her na medyo maging quiet din naman yung paligid niya. And it's very difficult for her to do that kasi nga, you cannot go out. So, it's a very challenging to find self-love practices. Also, pag confined kayo in one space. So, maybe, just for those people, I remember I have a classmate before sa culinary school na sabi niya, every time na uuwi siya, sabihin niya sa mga anak niya, Pepe po, kayong lalapit sa akin. Huwag niyo muna akong lalapitan pag galing siyang work. Huwag mo muna akong lalapitan. Just give me 30 minutes and then tsaka niya ako kausapin. It's not saying na, oy, hindi ko kayo mahal, di ba? Parang binabaliwala ko kayong mga anak ko or whatever. It's more of, you have to respect also the person na they need a breathing space na to
They need to
settle
recharge.
down, to recharge na it's all a matter of communication. And we've been saying it throughout the episode naman na communication is very important. If you need some certain privacy or just an alone time, kahit 15 minutes lang, if you can afford it, then please do try to communicate it to the people around you, even if it's quite difficult in this situation. So, yun lang naman. That's the only thing I wanted to add for this
Okay. Thank you,
advice
Hannah.
section. You're welcome.
How about Kim Curry? Any PS? Wala
Yeah,
na.
yun din lang. Yung kay Hannah, yung sinabi niya na, if you don't have time. Actually, like, just looking siguro kung nasa bahay ka lang, you're confined to that space. Kung meron kang magandang view, example, like, kahit sunset lang, or looking into, kasi ako personally, I love nature eh. Gusto ko ang sunset eh. So, looking at that lang gives you peace eh. So, that's, I think for me, that's some kind of self-love na rin. Basta if it will make you happy, even just for a while, why not do it?
Small happiness.
Yeah.
People have to do a lot of exploration to find self-love practices that work for them.
Yeah.
Kasi,
it's discovering.
Yeah.
Different situations kasi that we have.
Trial and error. Kasi these things, what we're saying, feel good for us. So find things that will make you feel good.
Yes.
Thank you, Kari. Kim, meron pa bang last?
Actually, wala na. Yun na yun.
Okay.
I completely agree.
Ayan.
Kahit isang malalim na inhale, exhale lang. Pwede na yun. Tapos, okay ka na.
Gera na ulit.
Gera na ulit.
Ayun. So, ayan. Thank you so much, Hannah. Kari and Kim, mababanggit ko yung pangalan ko.
Kim.
Thank you, Hannah, Kari, and Kim for your for the tips and the practices that you have shared tonight, and of course the stories na nabanggit ninyo. So, again, to our listeners and watchers, hindi na readers, practicing self-love is okay. But you have to know what kind of self-love na yung nag-fit to your situation. Because again, we are in different, we're living different lifestyles. Diba? So, you could find it on small things or grand things. So that depends on you. But again, what we'd like to say lang is self-love is okay. Doing self-love is not selfish if hindi ka naman nakaka-tapak or nakaka-hurt ng other people. Okay? So that will be all from the four of us tonight. Thank you so much again for listening. Aming mga dear listeners and watchers. Yeah, this is another...
Actually, may blog na tayo. Blog as in hindi vlog. Blog. Writing.
Tina-transcribe pala natin yung podcast natin. No? Para dun sa mga...
This is another me na... makikita nyo all the time. Ayun. So, good night. Aming mga watchers and listeners. Okay. So, again, I'm your host for the night. I'm Zari. And with me are my beautiful best friends, Hannah.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Carrie.
Good night. Stay safe.
And Kimmy.
Bye. Good night. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes. Bye, guys. Good night. Follow, like, subscribe. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching us.
See you on the next episode.
Watch us on YouTube. Listen to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Radio Podcasts. Ang dami namin. Just
follow our Facebook page.
Alam na lang po talaga vlog.
Yes. That will be all.
Good night.